Hello viewers, this is Naveen Moola, Assistant Professor of Physics, Nagarjuna Government College, Nalgonda. In this video lecture, we are going to see the third video of electrostatics. In our previous videos, we have seen the fundamentals of electrostatics, that is charge and its properties, electric field lines and its importance, and different properties of electric field lines, then electric flux and the formula how to calculate electric flux. We have seen all those things in our earlier videos. In this video lesson, we will see Gauss law and its derivation and differential form of Gauss law. We will see that. Before entering into the before entering into Gauss law definition, we will see the basic important topics which are useful for to know about Gauss law, which were covered in our previous video lesson. That is, first one is intensity of electric field. Intensity of electric field is equal to F by Q naught. Intensity of electric field at a point in the field is the force acting on unit positive charge kept at that point. Okay. Then the units for electric field intensity are Newton per Coulomb or volt per meter. It is a vector. It is a vector. Then we calculated electric field intensity due to a point charge Q at a distance R from that charge. It came around E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square R cap. R cap is the direction which is connecting this point charge Q with the point where we are calculating intensity of electric field. Why I am reminding this formula is because this is electric field intensity due to a point charge. We can calculate electric field intensity due to a number of point charges also using this formula. This is derived indirectly. This is derived. This formula indirectly is derived from Coulomb's law. That is why we can say electric field intensity can be calculated using Coulomb's law when there are point charges. This is a vector. So if we have a certain case of electric dipole, plus Q minus Q, two charges are placed apart, then we need to calculate electric field intensity on the axial line or electric field intensity on perpendicular bisector. In this case, we calculate electric field intensity due to plus Q, electric field intensity due to minus Q using this formula, and then we'll use vector addition loss, because electric field intensity is a vector. Similarly, we can calculate electric field intensity even we have 3, 4, 5, any number of charges. We'll calculate electric field intensity due to each point charge at that point, and then we use vector additive loss to solve this to calculate that electric field intensity. We can formulate a number of problems using this relation of electric field intensity. Then we saw electric lines of force. From that we defined electric flux. Electric flux is the number of lines crossing through any area normal to each. Number of field lines crossing through any area normal to each are known as electric flux through that area. Flux is nothing but flow of field lines. Normal to, here you should note one thing, that normal to this area. So to indicate that, we consider area as a vector and the direction of that area as the perpendicular drawn to that area. Always the aerial direction of this area is perpendicular, normal drawn to that area. Using that, we calculated electric flux. It comes around phi is equal to integral E dot delta S. Here we are using integral because always these areas are not symmetrical. Always it may not be a sphere, it may not be cylinder, but it will have an arbitrary shape. We have to calculate electric flux from that arbitrary shape. In such cases, what we do, we divide that entire area into infinitesimal small element areas delta S, and we calculate using integral E dot delta S. This is the electric flux coming out of the entire area. Okay, if we bring this S to here, what happens? Phi E by S, that is flux, we call that as flux density. Electric flux coming out of a unit area. Electric flux coming out of entire area is electric flux. Electric lines of force coming out of entire area is electric flux. Electric flux coming out of a unit area is, it is known as flux density. Here you can say phi E by S is equal to E. That means flux density is nothing but electric field intensity. That is the relation between flux density and electric field, flux and electric field intensity. If we have a clear idea about the intensity of electric field and flux density, it is very useful to understand Gauss law. It is very much useful to understand Gauss law. Okay, now we'll see what is Gauss law. Gauss law of electrostatics. The total normal electric flux over a closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within the surface. This is Gauss law. Before learning Gauss law, one thing, the difference, we must understand the difference between Coulomb's law and Gauss law. What is the use of Gauss law? Anyhow, the use of Gauss law is to calculate electric field intensity. As we see in the earlier slide, this one, E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square, is also a formula to calculate electric field intensity. Here, Gauss law is also a formula to calculate electric field intensity. The difference is, here we can calculate electric field intensity only with point charges, but in practical conditions we see in many situations only charge distribution, continuous charge distribution. If we consider a wire of a conductor, a lengthy conductor, the charge will reside everywhere in the conductor. We cannot find out point charge here and there and the distance between these two charges. In practical conditions, we see continuous charge distribution over a lengthy wire or a plate or a volume like that. When continuous charge distribution is there, we cannot use Coulomb's law to derive electric field intensity. So we need to have some other set of rules to calculate that electric field intensity. That is done by Gauss in the form of Gauss law of electrostatics. Here, the Gauss law of electrostatics states that the total normal electric flux over a closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within the surface. The net charge enclosed within that surface. This is Gauss law of electrostatics. In mathematical form, we show this as phi E is equals integral E dot ds. We already see integral E dot ds is nothing but electric flux coming over a closed surface. Yes, here it is surface integral. Over that surface integral we are integrating. So the electric flux coming over a surface is equal to integral EDS cos theta. We know this. This is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within the surface. The net charge enclosed within the surface. 2 points we must understand. One is the electric field lines coming out of that surface. That means some lines may go inside that surface, some lines go outside the surface. We need to calculate only the electric field lines coming out of that surface. So for that we choose a sign convention that when electric lines going into the area, we take it as negative, and the electric field lines coming out of the area, we take it as positive. In the next topic, we will see how we are using this sign convention. Okay, this is Gauss law, and for that we are giving a proof for Gauss law in this video lesson in two ways: when the charge is within the surface and charges outside the surface. We'll derive Gauss law in both the conditions. Okay, here we take an arbitrary closed surface. Closed surface means it is three-dimensionally closed surface, not as shown in the plane of paper. It is three-dimensionally closed surface. That means like a sphere or a cylinder or a cone, any shape. So here we are taking a asymmetrical shape. Out of this, we using this in this surface, we are having a charge of plus q at point O. We need to calculate, we need to derive this one, whether it is happening or not. The entire flux coming out of this surface, whether it is equating 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed in the surface or not, we will see. Okay, for that we consider a plus q charge at point O, and it is asymmetrical shape. As it is, we need to calculate electric flux. Electric flux means we need to use this formula, integral E ds cos theta. For that, it is not a symmetrical shape. If it is a symmetrical sphere, we will use 4 pi r square. But it is not a sphere, it is a symmetrical shape. That is why we are dividing this entire surface into infinitesimal small element areas, of each having a area of ds. Like that, numerous elements are divided, each are having same area, and each are having planar shape. Okay, then this area, we will calculate the flux coming out of this ds, and we will integrate that ds, because after integrating we will get our entire surface. We will get entire surface. Okay, so for that, what I am doing is, this ds element is at a distance of r. This ds element at point P is at a distance of r from point O, and every time electric field intensity acts outwards, radially outwards. So this is electric field direction from Q. It is radially outwards. So this is electric field direction, and this area, if we imagine the entire surface, will you imagine suppose a volleyball. Each black is on volleyball. We see different blacks are stitched together. It is a symmetrical shape, but for our imagination, we imagine a volleyball. Each black, let us assume that as a surface element. That surface element's normal is its aerial direction. It is ds. Okay, in this case, let us assume the angle between that area, the direction of that area, and electric field intensity as theta. Okay, now what I am doing is, I am substituting in first I am calculating electric flux, that is E dot ds, E ds cos theta. E means electric field intensity. Electric field intensity at point P, we know it is situated at a distance of r from plus q. So electric field intensity is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. I am substituting it. After substitution, I get d phi e is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square ds cos theta. So d phi e, that means the total electric flux, the electric flux coming out of the small block ds is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught ds cos theta by r square. ds cos theta by r square is nothing but solid angle. It is nothing but solid angle. What is solid angle? We need to understand solid angle. You imagine a cone, ice cream cup, a ice cream cone. You imagine the shape. If it is, one second. This is a line, and this is another line. We call this as the angle between these two lines. it is two-dimensional. But if you consider a cone, here it is appearing as, here in this figure, it is appearing as, that means the block, the ds aerial block making an angle at O, center O, the angle we are calling it as d omega. D omega. What is this? This aerial element making such d omega angle at the center. This is three-dimensional. A cone making an angle at its center. That angle is known as solid angle. This is named as solid angle. Okay, we'll geometrically, if we calculate the solid angle, it is purely mathematical thing. Okay, geometrically, if we calculate the solid angle made by this aerial element ds at the center, which is at a distance of r from that one, we get solid angle ds cos theta by r square, d omega. Solid angle is denoted by d omega. So we get d phi e is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. D omega. Every time I am taking spotlight. Okay, d omega. The total electric flux over the entire surface is given by, okay, d phi e is the electric flux by a small element. What we require is the electric flux due coming out of the entire surface. So we need to calculate this small element. We need to integrate over the entire surface. That is what we are doing here. We are integrating d phi e over the entire surface. Then we get q by 4 pi epsilon naught integral d omega. Integral d omega. Integral d omega means this small block is making an angle of d omega. Entire closed surface makes an angle of 4 pi at the center. As the total number of degrees in a circle are 2 pi, the total angle made by a closed surface in 3D at its center is 4 pi. So after substituting this, we get phi e is equals q by epsilon naught. Phi e, we calculated phi e using electric flux concept. We arrived at a conclusion that 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed in the surface. In our earlier slide, we saw entire surface is having only a point charge q. So this is the proof of Gauss law. Here, the use of Gauss law is, similarly we can calculate, if a point charge is there, we can calculate electric field intensity using Coulomb's law also. But here the use is, if there is a number of charges inside that, if there is a number of charges inside that a closed surface, it is very hard using calculation using Coulomb's law. Because suppose, assume there are 100 point charges inside a closed surface. To calculate the electric field intensity at a point situated at some distance from these charges, we need to calculate 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square for each point charge, and then we need to do vector sum of these 100 vectors. It is very, very, very hard. But whereas using Gauss law, simply we can calculate the total charge, because charge is a scalar. So the total charge means adding up all those 100 charges, we'll get a value, and we calculate E integral EDS cos theta. We substitute in Gauss law, we get electric field intensity. And not only for continuous charge distribution, even for point charge distribution also, when there is number of charges are there, then it is very easy using Gauss law. We can understand the solid angle made by the entire asymmetrical shape using this this figure also. You can see in the figure. Let me take the spotlight. Okay, this outer layer is an asymmetrical shape. Let us say here a point charge q, or a number of 5-6 charges are there within this sphere. Let us say here they are residing, and because of them we need to calculate electric flux coming out of this asymmetrical shape. Then electric flux will go in. I draw these lines because electric lines of force will spread over entire surface. Okay, we need to calculate the electric flux coming out of these outer surface. For that, what I am considering is I am assuming a sphere inside. It is an imaginary sphere. Let us say it is a sphere. This element, what I am saying is the flux coming out of this small element will reach here, and those lines only come out of this element, this outer portion. Similarly, the flux coming out of this element will only come out from this surface. There is no charge between the sphere and this outer parts. Where spotlight is moving, there is no charge. So the entire flux coming out of this asymmetrical shape is the only flux which is coming out of this sphere. So we can say solid angle made by, here I am not giving geometrical support that integral d omega is equal to 4 pi, but like this also we can understand the angle is 4 pi. That is why I am sharing like this. Okay, now we'll derive the same Gauss law. We'll see what happens if the charge is outside the considered closed surface. When the charge is inside the closed surface, we derived Gauss law. That is the entire electric flux coming out of that surface equated to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge. So what happens if the charge is outside the considered closed surface? We'll see here in this using this slide. When the charge is outside the surface, what happens? Let us see, this is our, let me show you about what I am speaking. Let me show you. Okay, this is the area, an arbitrary shape here also. Okay, now the charge is here, Q. We need to calculate electric flux coming out of this closed area. For that, what I did is I take a cone making an angle of d omega. Similarly, in the case of charge inside also, we took like this only, a cone making an angle of d omega. Here also, what I am doing, a cone making an angle of d omega. It intersects with this surface at 4 points, A, B, C, D. At each point, I am considering the areal element ds1, ds2, ds3, ds4. We need to calculate flux from each element. No need of calculation. Simply we can say here the flux is entering. At point A, the flux is entering. So we need to follow the sign convention that the flux entering is negative. The flux leaving from the surface is positive. So here the flux is negative. Here the flux is positive. Here the flux is negative, and here the flux is again positive. So flux at A, in the earlier derivation, we arrived this flux relation Q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. So I am using that relation. As the flux is entering at A, it is negative. At B, it is positive because of single point charge. So there is no change in the charge. So at ds1, the flux is minus q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. At ds2, it is plus q by 4 pi epsilon naught. Like that, if you consider a point outside the closed surface, these two get cancelled away, and these two again gets cancelled away. Total flux is equal to 0. Total flux is equal to 0 because there is no charge. That means total flux is equal to 0. On right hand side to Gauss law, we substitute there is no charge, so 0 by epsilon naught. So it is 0. That means it is also giving a. It is also giving an explanation to Gauss law. This is Gauss law. Okay, now we will see differential form of Gauss law. Here I considered Gauss law, integral E ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. If the charge is distributed over a volume, and let rho is volume charge density. Volume charge density means rho is equal to charge by volume. Rho is equal to charge by volume. In other words, we can say charge is equals rho into volume. So I am writing it as volume integral of dV. Anyhow, volume integral of dV gives volume. So we can write like this: Q is equal volume integral of rho dV. I am substituting this Q in Gauss law. What happens? Integral EDS is equals, instead of Q, I am substituting volume integral of rho dV. Okay. Now on left hand side I have surface integral, and on right hand side I have volume integral. Okay, I just want to equate these two things. For that, I am using Gauss divergence theorem. Gauss divergence is a theorem which converts surface integral into volume integral. Using that theorem, I can write integral EDS is equals volume surface integral over a closed surface in E dot ds is equals volume integral divergence of E dV. I can write like this. So I am using this Gauss divergence theorem, and I am substituting in equation 1. I get volume integral of divergence E dV is equals 1 by epsilon naught volume integral of rho dV. Both sides we have volume integral, and over the same volume. We are talking about same volume on both sides. So we can neglect that volume integral. We arrived at divergence of E is equals rho by epsilon. Now divergence of E means we can write del dot E bar is equals rho by epsilon naught. This is differential form of Gauss law. Differential form of Gauss law. I am bringing this epsilon naught to this side. We get del dot epsilon naught E. Epsilon naught E means D displacement electric field vector. Del dot D is equal to, we'll know about displacement electric field vector in course of time. Right now I can say epsilon, the relation between displacement electric field vector and electric field intensity is equal, D is equal to epsilon naught E. Using that, we can say the differential form of Gauss law is del dot D is equals. In this class, we have seen Gauss law and its derivation and its differential form. As I said earlier, Gauss law is an important thing in the calculation of electric field intensity as well as electric potential when the charge is continuously distributed. We will see in our next class those